Guys, welcome back to another episode of Always Making. Thanks for joining us in our basement again for another conversation with another talented artist. We are joined by Tina from Akasha Leather. Before we get into this conversation, we are going to do some housekeeping. We have some events coming up. Before we talk about those events, you guys can support the show with our Patreon. You guys can sign up on our links down below. You guys can sign up for our free events, or sorry, not events, but free membership, or you can sign up for our $10 membership and get some stickers sent out to your doorstep. But events we have coming up, you can follow those links down below. But events we have coming up in the near future, we have coming up in July. We have July 25th is our second event with Alluring Podcast. She's going to have another cryptid show. That's going to be a fun event. The first one, because we're recording this before that event, was fun.
We had a blast.
But we had a blast at that one. The one we had last year was great, so we know that one's going to be awesome for us. But we did get accepted into Craft Lake City's DIY Fest. This is going to be our 5th year doing DIY Fest.
I can't believe it.
So I know it's super fun. It's where it all got started for us with this big, crazy endeavor that we're into now. And so we're super excited to be going back for our 5th year with that one there. That is on August 7th through the 9th there. And then, Christy, you got accepted. I guess we got accepted, but primarily you got accepted into the 1330 Design
Collective.
Design Collective.
Yeah, market and fashion show. So that's going to be in August this year. It starts August 2nd at Mill Creek Common. And I don't remember the exact date, but the fashion show's at the end of August.
Yeah, and so that is going to be everything for housekeeping. If you guys know other artists or makers in the design or in the maker world here in the Salt Lake or Greater Salt Lake area, please send them our way. We'd love to have a conversation in the basement here. But that's going to do everything for housekeeping. Let's get into the conversation with Akasha Leather here. Thank you so much, Tina, for joining us. What we like to do here on the show is kind of get the backstory of how it all started. We go way back. So we want to know, like, were you a creative child? Were you, like, gifted at birth? Were you, like, how did this all start for you in the creative world? Where did it all start?
Cool. Well, first off, thank you for having me. Good to be here. I'm going to give you the long story on how
we've got plenty of time.
Settling in. I'm ready.
Because really this was not in my cards to be a leather worker, to be in the artist world. I was, for the longest time, coaching ski racing was my career, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I was doing for many, many years at a high level. And there was an accident that happened in January of 2015. An athlete that I had coached years prior had died in an avalanche with another athlete over in Europe with their first trip with the U.S. ski team. And that crushed me in a way that I didn't really understand for many years. And so I got into this actually because of the kind of the depression that I ended up like falling into, and I moved away from coaching because it ended up being just like really challenging to kind of stay in that realm. And so I was looking for a creative outlet. And because I knew, I loved art and I've always done creative things just on the side. And I knew that it would be something that would bring me joy. And so I was traveling with my husband, and we were in New Zealand, and we were at a festival, and there was someone that was doing a 2-hour open forum leather workshop. And I was like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to work with leather. Like, let's do this. And I sat down into this workshop for 2 hours, and it was total free form. It was just, he had a bunch of pieces of leather and a lot of tools, and just if you had questions, he'd answer them for you. And so I dove in and I ended up making a clutch there and loved it and thought like, okay, this is really fun. I would love to do this again. And then I was traveling in Vietnam later that year, and I looked up a workshop. We were in this town, Hoi An, and Hoi An is known for their creative side. Like, they'll make clothes, they'll make shoes, they'll make anything there in that town. So like, somebody does leather work here. And I looked up a workshop, and we did wallets. And so I learned how to do a 2-needle stitch, and I learned how to make a wallet. And after that, I was hooked, like full hooked. Knew that I wanted to go home and buy tools, and just do it as a side hobby, like make gifts for friends, and just have this, for me, creative outlets, like time that I could spend to just enjoy. Basically, and then I came home and bought some tools, and kind of the rest is all history. Here we are.
Do you still have those 2 pieces that you made while in
I
travel?
do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I actually maybe a year ago I posted like where it all began and where it is now. And I have that actually on my Instagram page, and it's pretty rad. Like it's I mean it's a really soft piece. It's a chrome tan piece of leather. It's this brown leather, and it was very asymmetrical. Like when I got it, it was actually, I was sitting there and there was a family next to me, and they had this piece of leather, and they weren't really, and I was like, maybe I can grab it. And I asked, I was like, do you mind if can I use that? And the mom was kind of not so into it at first. She's like, okay, fine. So I grabbed it and I started using it, and I started folding it. And I was like, I can do this. And the way the front pieces came together, it didn't come together totally right, but it had this really cool angle on it. So I ended up doing a cross stitch like all the way across it, so that it created a rectangle. And then on the top fold over, I did a handful of rivets, and I actually there was like kind of like a small little cutout that you'll get on pieces of hides, like on the outside pieces of hides, and I actually use that as part of the design as well. And when I finished, that mom had kind of looked over me and she saw what I made. And I think it was, I realized it when she saw, and she kind of looked at me, and she looked down at it, and she looked at me again. It's like, I've done something right here.
How fun.
Like I took a piece that they thought was, a nothing piece, and was able to create something cool out of it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, with the leather pieces, it is kind of one of those, like you some people like kind of look at the perfect piece and go, oh, that's easy to make something. And then when you look at the imperfect pieces and you make something cool out of it, it's like, oh, that's so much cooler than the perfect piece with that. With like where you started those pieces that you make, the first piece that you actually sold, I know what it is, but what for the viewers and everyone, what was that first piece that you made and actually sold?
Journals.
Yeah.
So journals. So I came home from traveling, and I only had these very basic skills, and I didn't buy that many tools because I wasn't sure how invested I was going to be on this at first. And I didn't know how to pattern. I mean, I've never thought about doing this. And so it was never in my realm to create patterns. And so I needed something very basic. And I also wanted something that was very useful. And for me, traveling, like a travel journal, is super useful. So it took me a while to figure out how to properly bind it, because I bind in three booklets of paper. And because it's an odd number, it took a while to figure out how to like line things up so that my knots were clean and across from each other. And but journals were the first thing that I ever made, and it's still the same design that I make today. And I actually teach that as a workshop. That's one of the workshops that I do, is that journal. So it's like the very first thing that I make. I teach people how to do.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about your workshops because you kind of came full circle with everything, where you started with like finding a workshop that kind of drove you into this whole direction of what you do now. And now you're like doing workshops as part of like your whole leather journey and everything as well. Like, was that always a goal, like as you kind of grew into this leather business? Was that a goal to kind of give back to the community by offering workshops?
Yeah. So at first, I mean, as you are beginning and making, I mean, everyone has that imposter syndrome. But as I continued to make, and people were interested, and I thought that it would be a really great way to give back. And that's actually why when I was asked to do workshops originally, I chose the journal. because it felt right. And it is such a great way to connect with the community, to give people an opportunity to create. So many people come in and they're like, I have not created with my hands or sat down to do anything with my hands for so long. Like it's a gift. So it's a really great experience that I love to give to people and see. And who knows? I mean, some people have bought tools afterwards and make some things afterwards, but most people will just come back and do another workshop. And it's all great.
Yeah. But so what a sorry, I was gonna say what a great way to like keep the momentum going, right? Like we kind of talk about the same thing when we like sell vintage cameras. It's like, no, the more people we can get in this world with us, the more, opportunity there is for everyone.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it's the same. I was gonna say, like, when we do a couple with like some of the my job I have, we do live screen printing, and so when we get people who like grab the squeegee and actually print their t-shirts, they like, it's that back to the whole creative hands-on aspect that they're like, I haven't done something like this in such a long time, and they kind of like realize like, oh, I can do this kind of thing. And so is it just the journals is the only thing you offer with like the workshops, or do you offer other things as well?
Yeah, it's a number of different workshops. So now I do journals and bracelets, as well as koozies, which is kind of fun. That one's probably the most creative that we do. But then I've done belts. I've also done keychains, and then I'll work with larger corporate groups as well. And then a lot of times I will create the product prior, and then they'll customize it on site. And so I've worked with groups from 50 to 300 in that sense, which is also pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So like, let's talk a little bit about the workshops, because I'm interested, because a lot of artists like kind of go down the market side of things, go down the custom like commission side of things, but there's another avenue that you can go with this whole workshop avenue. We were just talking with why am I
Anne from Quirky Clay
thank
Co.
you with Quirky Clay. I was blanking on one of our last guests. She's doing workshops with her clay as well, where it is the same corporate side of things, and she's at local bars and breweries doing stuff as well. But that's another avenue for artists to look at a revenue stream as well when markets are kind of slow and maybe it's not the right season for markets. But how do you go about bringing people into like finding out that you do offer workshops? What's that kind of like opportunity, like how do you market that side of what you are offering?
Yeah, so it's a multi-level. So I've been fortunate to work with TF Brewing, and I've taught. So last year I taught a workshop once a quarter, and then I'll teach a few more for them this year as well, or there this year. They've been really great to work with. We do workshops in the barrel room there, and so we'll kind of co-market for that. And then I've also done them at the St. Regis. I've done it up at Blue Sky Lodge. I've taught for a few destination management companies as well. And those were word of mouth. So one of them, a friend had reached out to me originally. She works for one of the destination management companies up in Park City, and she had asked me. And this is when I had first started doing workshops. And she's like, "How many people can you accommodate?" I said, "I can do 8." And she goes, "Okay, we have 100." That's not gonna work.
So how do you go from 8 to
so like 300? Yeah, right. It's been a wild ride. It's been a really cool opportunity. I think, like you said, I saw the opportunity that if I invested, I've really learned this so much with this journey, is if I invest in myself, then it's gonna come back to me. And so I invested in the tools originally for those 8, and then taught them actually the ACE, Alta Community Enrichment. I've taught a few out for them, and they were some of my first workshops. And then with these management companies, they had these opportunities. They said, if you could do more, then we could give you the business. I was like, okay, great. And so then, you know, I scaled it up to, I think I scaled up to 12. I scaled it to 12. And then I actually had, Victory Ranch reached out to me and they wanted to do like they had a ladies day. It was, they had a tournament going on and they had 40 women that wanted to do a workshop and they had an afternoon. I was like, okay, great. I'll do 20 people at a time. And so then I got enough tools for 20. And then I did that and we did, it was over, 5 hours. We got 40 people through with, 2 different sessions with a break in between. And then I realized like, okay, I can do this more in volume. Yeah. Great. And then it just kind of has grown from there. And now I have enough tools for 50 people.
That's awesome.
At a time, which is wild.
That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's a great way to like kind of look at it. It's investing in yourself. It's going to make a return for you kind of thing. That's a great mindset to have with that.
Hi guys, it's Acadia from 111 Threads. Yeah, that new shop in Sugar House, a place where you can find alterations, clothing repair, upcycled fashion, and tons of local artists. Come in Wednesday to Saturday, 11 to 7 p.m. at 1956 South, 1100 East, across from the Sugar House Post Office. You can also apply to be a vendor, check alterations bookings, and more on 111threads.com. Be sure to check us out on our Instagram at 111.threads. Thanks for supporting local artists, and I'll see you in the shop soon.
We'll get back to the episode real quick, but in case you haven't heard yet, we started a Patreon to help support the podcast with 2-tier options to choose from. We're telling you this because we're starting a new segment on the show where we're taking questions from our patrons and answering them right here with our guest. This will be available for both paid and free members, so head over to patreon.com/steadfastrebels to sign up and support the show, or follow the links in the description. Now back to the show. I want to talk about your market experience kind of thing. So this all started for you in 2018 and you've grown from there significantly. When was your first market? When did you say, I've made enough of these products now to then take yourself and go, I'm going to put myself out there, be vulnerable, and like start selling this like at a scale?
So 2018.
Okay, so
so it was kind of early on because I came home from traveling in like beginning of the year and bought tools then, and I have this memory of the first journal I ever sold. It was the first journal I ever made, and I had just posted a photo on Facebook and just said like, "Hey, look what I made." And a lot of people said, "Oh, great, good for you." And then I had a friend reach out and say, "Hey, I have been looking for a journal and exactly like that, and I can't find one. Can I buy that from you?" And literally, Rush, he was my first client, and he made me think that it was possible. And then after that, I had a handful of other people reach out. And so it really was word of mouth in the beginning. And then I immediately just applied for markets just for fun. And so I applied for the Park Silly market. And so I did a bunch. I don't know how many did that first summer, but I kind of just went right into it right off the bat, and I literally only had journals that first market, and I had a couple girlfriends that helped me, and it was such a positive experience that it just got me excited to do more and to get in front of people.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I still do a lot of markets. I mean, this year I'm going to step back from doing as many, but in years past, like I do a lot of markets, and because it's a vibe. I love getting in front of people. I'm such a people person. And so the fact that I work by myself it's just kind of funny. And so getting in front of people it just brings me so much joy. And then it's also been such a great way to sell the product because you get it in their hands, they feel it, they touch it, they smell it, they get,
I was gonna say, especially with leather, it's so tactile.
Yeah, it really is. And that's literally what I use. Like, it's a tactile experience. You have to touch it, you have to feel it. I had a sign for a little while that said just pick it up and smell it.
Yeah,
because it's funny because a lot of people will just pretend, like they'll like think that I'm not looking and they'll pick up and smell it. And I was like, it's okay, you can do it.
Get a nose full. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, because it's also such a memory. I mean, smell, right, will bring people back to so many different memories, and so that's also a great conversation to have with people. Ask them, like, what does that smell bring you to? And a lot of it is horse tack. Oh, my grandfather, my dad, grew up in a barn or whatnot, and so it's also just a great way to connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it's my grandma's Italian leather shoes.
Yes, yeah, that's another one too.
She would take trips to Italy specifically for the leather shoes and purses.
Jealous.
The first couple shows you did was just journals. When did you start to branch out and do more than just the leather bound journals? What was the next product, I guess?
So the next product was a small wallet, actually, because of course, you do leather work. Everyone asks you to do wallets, and because of that workshop that I did, I had a general feel for kind of sizing and things, and I kind of worked off of that just to get the basics. And I bought myself some more tools and just patterned out something, and was really proud of myself for patterning, out this wallet. And so I had a very basic wallet called the Alex Slim. I still have it today. It's made a few iterations in dimensions and whatnot, but it's still the same wallet that I make today. So that was the next product. And then trays were the next product after that. Yeah.
So how many products do you have now that you take to market, or that you sell, I guess?
It depends on the market.
Okay.
It depends on the market, because I now have, I have I have 6 different wallet designs.
Okay.
And so if I have them all there, that's a lot. But then I also have 2 different styles of journals. I have 2 different sizes of a sling bag. I have 2 different sizes of a tote bag. I have a duffel bag. I have trays, multiple sizes of trays, keychains. So it kind of depends. Like during the holidays is definitely where I'll have the bulk of kind of everything, or at an art festival is where I'm going to have kind of most of my products kind of there. But as to how many designs I have, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
It varies for you pretty regularly.
It does, because not every event, like, as with different markets, not every product is for that clientele necessarily. And so I don't always have all of the same product, or an inspiration will catch me. So like on my tote bags, and on some of the wallet designs, I will kind of pair those together. Like I'll have an inspiration either through Pendleton wool, or I've done a collaboration with another artist, and that will dictate kind of like what styles I bring as well. And sometimes when I don't have that, once that is sold out, I just might not have that style for a while necessarily.
That brings up a question then. How often are you like creating the product that you're taking to market? Because if something does sell out, are you right away going back into the shop and like making that, or are you waiting till like you kind of come back around to make it again?
No, so I would finish a market on Sunday, and I would unpack Monday morning and then start working again Monday morning, because usually I would have a market again that following weekend.
But so okay, let me ask it this way, because let's say you run out of the duffel bag, are you going to make more of those duffel bags that Monday morning, or are you like setting up your schedule to like, okay, I'm going to make wallets this week, I'm going to make journals this week, and like, are you just kind of making what you run out of? Are you strictly on a schedule of how you're cutting your leather out? Because like with supply of leather, I know sometimes you might not have that certain leather in stock or what, because I know certain things sometimes you're not going to get that cut, the same tan or the same cut or what you might have available. So how do you kind of manage what you need for your supply?
So I think you give me too much credit on scheduling this out.
Okay.
No, it's literally I'll kind of see what I'll need, and sometimes I'll know going into an event that I'm low and I'll need to make it kind of that week following, or it does really well at an event and I'll need to make it. But a lot of times I'm making multiple styles in 1 week. And maybe I'll make 5 wallets to kind of bulk in, because I need to make more sling bags, and I need to make some tote bags, and I need to make some journals, and I need to make some trays. And so I don't always do a massive restock of one in particular item if I'm doing a lot of events. If I have time in between events, that's where I can say, okay, cool, I'm going to do 10 of these and 5 of these and whatnot, and kind of work it out that way. But once I'm in the thick of it, it's literally it's down and dirty. Like, you're just making whatever you can in the time that you can. And a lot of times, I mean, I have been known to be making at the event. Or, there's some events where you set up the day before. I'll go home and I'll finish making, and then in the morning I'll keep making, and then I'll show up at the event and I'm keep making. So it's you do what you can.
We're definitely guilty of that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, we've definitely done that. We're like, oh, we ran out of those shirts that night before or that night of, and then we've got the market the next day. Okay, the market doesn't start till 12. I'm screen printing in the morning. Like, we got to get more of those shirts.
I say our first DIY fest, we sold a bunch of earrings that I wasn't expecting. So that night I was cutting them out, and then the next day I was in the booth assembling them. I'm like, well, we got an hour before the market starts. I can assemble a bunch of leather earrings right now.
I mean, I have friends that do ceramics. And the amount of time that they have to think ahead for events, that it baffles me. I'm like, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
Or just a lot of practice, because I'm literally up until the last minute kind of making things.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that we're kind of blessed with the not having to worry about things curing or anything like that. I mean, I guess with some of the dyes, I guess if you're dyeing your leather, you have to let it dry in that sense.
Yeah. So fun fact. So I actually don't tan or dye any of my hides. Everything I purchase has been tanned and dyed.
Okay. So you don't have that problem to worry about.
I don't. Yeah, which is nice. I kind of let the pros be pros. And I just kind of stick to the design side of things. But yeah, I mean, also, great opportunity. We haven't talked about what type of leather that I work with.
Yeah.
But I have intentionally sourced, once I started really getting into this, because I was concerned for a while, I'm diving into a leather business when everything's going on with the world and the climate. I had reservations on it.
Yeah.
And so for me, and also I'm a vegetarian. So it was challenging for me to want to dive into this. And so I said, okay, how can I source all of my materials in a way that feels very good and very sustainable?
Yeah.
And so the tanneries that I work with, a lot of them are in Italy, and they attain to the highest sustainability standards within the industry, in the sense of how they're tanning. It's all vegetable tanning, so it's all natural. The tanning process as well as the dyeing, and then how they take care of their wastewater and how they either reuse it as well as kind of clean it. And then all the hides themselves are byproduct of the food industry too. So right, I mean, until we get rid of the beef industry, then we have all these hides. So in that sense, you're kind of using a lot of that as well.
Yeah, there is, when you dive into the industry, there are a lot of ethical processes that are there, and so you can find ethical sources. And so same for us, that we want to find recycled materials. We want to try to keep stuff out of the landfills. There's the new t-shirts that we're using as we go forward with our t-shirts are 100% recycled materials. Like we're finding a source out of Pakistan that is using 100% polyester cotton blends that are 100% recycled for everything for our t-shirts. So we're like super excited that we're
And
like,
low
this
water
is
usage.
low
Yeah.
water usage. The dyes are great dyes. Our inks that we're using for our prints are a good source ink kind of thing. And so we're looking for these options that are trying to do good for things, but it takes effort to find these things. So like, yes, there are cheaper options, but there's also things that like if we take a little bit of extra time and effort to things, and being a vegetarian and like you're like, oh, I can take these extra things to do good by my choices. And like leather is actually a really good material that lasts so much longer in the environment. And like if you're again sourcing these kind of things, you're doing good by using these pieces that instead are being wasted, kind of thing. So like again, there's people who can argue both sides of the
Totally, 100%.
fine, but it is a material that is a good material that like again, if you're ethically sourcing your materials, that's a solid way to go about finding these type of things. So yeah, again, like finding the right dyes and again looking for all the stuff, there's good sources out there for that kind of use with it. But with that being said, you're saving yourself a lot of time by not having to dye your own stuff, not doing your own stuff. Design wise, with your pieces that you're making now, how are you approaching your actual pattern making now and like creating your stuff? Like
what does your R&D process sort of look like?
That's where I was getting into.
Yeah. So I'm still very analog. You know, there's a lot of makers that I follow in the leathercraft world that do all they use Adobe Illustrator, and they'll kind of create their patterns that way, and then that way they can figure out sizing and ratios and whatnot. But that's not my strong suit, and until I learn it, I'm still very paper. So I cut everything out. I have a general idea of what I want, and some some designs come quicker than others for sure, and some I can kind of get through faster. But the sense of like the duffel bag and the first kind of sling bag, hip pack that I made, I mean, they took me months to design, because a lot of it really comes down to, I write a list. A lot of times I'm sitting at a market and I'm writing a list about this design, what's important to me, in the sense of size or functionality or hardware. What hardware do I want to use, what colors do I want to use, what look do I want overall, what different kind of pieces of style do I want in there. And so those are the things that I write down first, of like, what's my wish list, and I really kind of just get as much out as I can, and I can always cross it out. But that's just a great way to start before I even come down to exactly the sizing. I might just get like on the duffel bag, I knew I wanted it to be a carry-on size. So then I had to look those up. So I got those dimensions down there. I knew I wanted to have a crossbody strap to it. And so I figured out I had like specific hardware that I wanted to use for that. And then for the side panels on it, because everyone hates when you go into a zipper and it's really tight, right? And you just rip your fingers across the zipper. And I was like, it's so annoying when you have a duffel bag like that. And so I knew that I wanted to have the ends tied, like anchored down. And I figured I would use snaps for that, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I knew I wanted that, so that when you open those up, it was a big wide mouth. And so these are all things that I kind of had in my brain before I even came to the table. And then I just took a bunch of paper and made a 3D model out of it.
I was going to ask, because I'm like, in sewing, you can do like what's like called a muslin, or like, you test it out first. But I'm like, can you do that with leather? So you use paper.
Yeah. So I used paper first, and I mean, literally made the whole thing out of paper so that I could get a general feel for it, because it is the biggest thing that I've made to date. And so I really wanted to. I never want to cut into leather unless I have to. Like, I don't ever want to waste it. And especially with that, because you're using so much leather. I really wanted to have a really great foundation for my dimensions before I even dove into that. And so that's where I start on pretty much everything.
So I was gonna say, I'm sure there's a range between duffel and wallet, but like, how long does each piece usually take you to make?
In the sense of from design to make, or just make
like
in
for
general?
just making like the product for market.
I mean, a small wallet now, I mean, I could do like a slim wallet with like 1, 2, 3, 4, with like 4 pockets on that. I mean, I can do that from start to finish in maybe an hour.
Oh wow! Okay.
I think. I mean, hand stitching. I hand stitch all
Yeah.
my wallets too. But I mean, I kind of just, you have it down, and especially
Yeah.
if that's what I'm making, I
Mhm.
can totally get it out. But I mean, that's including hand stitching and sanding and beveling and burnishing, all the edges too. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
And then something like your duffel bag. How long
Yeah.
does your duffel bag take?
That takes me a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it takes me a few days of just like full on kind of working.
That's gonna be really impressive if you had it down in like under a day.
No, that one is still, I mean, I haven't made that many yet. There's still just such an awesome limited piece, but it still takes me a while. Like, I've got it down. I have a list. So on that one in particular, because I don't make that many, I've made like a make order list as well. And so I have all my patterns hanging. I have hooks, and like all my paper patterns are hanging. And for everything from down to the zipper pull, I have a little, piece for that. And so I have a whole shakedown of from step to step on how to make that one. And that one, just a lot of hole punching, because I use a brogue design on that, and it's just so I hand punch a lot of it, and so that takes a lot of the detailing, and then the burnishing of all the edges, because it's a 3-piece as well to get together.
Do you hand burnish, or do you have like a power tool that for burnishing?
So I do both.
Okay.
So I do have a Dremel, and some things like longer straps that are double thickness. I'll use that Dremel for that. But I'll always hand finish.
Okay.
But sometimes I'll just get it started with the Dremel, especially if I'm doing like long straps. But anything that's a single layer, that's just by hand, just because it's so hard to, because you're running at a high,
RPM.
revolution. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were to angle it just enough, you're going to catch the leather, and it's going to immediately make a mark.
Yeah.
And so, with a wider strap, it's just a wider amount of error on that. And then you also have the stitch line on either side that can kind of help. So if you were to kind of bleed over a little bit, you aren't going to notice it.
Yeah.
But that single layer, which all the duffel is that's all hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a burnishing disc that I got, and I actually modified it to fit into my drill press. And so the drill press isn't as high of an RPM.
Yeah.
So I kind of get away with a little bit of it, and I can kind of control it a little bit easier with it. It's not the perfect solution, but it does kind of like make things a little bit faster.
Bridges the gap.
But then I do still to kind of take the hand tool and kind of finish a little bit with it as well, kind of in that same process with things.
Yeah.
Do you have, I know it's always hard to pick a favorite child and everything, but do you have a favorite product or that you've made that's like, it's like the one you like, it's kind of, you go back to and you're like, I really love making this one all the time?
Yes, 100%. So my conversion bag, because that is the first bag that I truly designed. My tote bags are the first bags that I made, but it's a rectangle, right? I mean, in the sense of dimensions, you just kind of figure out your ratio. But the conversion bag, I mean, that has angles, and then you have to figure out the corner seam. And then for me, again, this was one where I knew I wanted to design it, and I couldn't figure out a few different details. And I was sitting at markets, and I was writing down my list and whatnot. And somebody walked by with a bag that had that had O-rings on it. And so and I just saw them walk by and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like it pivoted. The bag just pivoted because I knew I wanted the bag to be able to go on the hip as well as over the shoulder, but I couldn't figure out how to attach the straps such that it never felt impeding. Like I wanted it to feel effortless on the body, no matter where it was. And so for me, seeing that go by, I knew I didn't want to do an O-ring, but it really helped kind of finish the design in a lot of ways. And so there's so many pieces about that design that I'm really proud of, because again, like, I mean, this design was never my direction. You know, I make bags. I thought I was going to be a alpine ski race coach my whole life. That was where I was, but this is where I am. And so that is for sure, I'm super proud of that one. And then the duffel bag too would be my next, just because it's such a big undertaking. And it's so fun.
And then I guess, is this your newest project? You're making shoes now?
Yeah. So I know, so fun, right? So I think like a lot of people, I mean, I love shoes. I've always been obsessed with shoes. And I just the look, the feel, how it can make an outfit and how it can show off your personality. So I've always been very obsessed with them. And so like making a tote bag was one step in my crafting, like in this craft. I knew I wanted to make that. I knew like at some point, I'm like, I'm going to make shoes. And so this is kind of dabbing my toe in this realm. So there's a company out of Europe, and Sneaker Kit. So they are the ones who make the soles.
Okay.
So they make the soles. This is not something that I make. And they have a general kind of pattern for the size. So you can get like your general ratio for the size of it, and then you can kind of do what you want with it. And that's that's a fun part. And so I am right now I'm just like, again, a very basic entry level of what this is, but it's really fun. And I actually took a workshop last year in Seattle at a really great store who they make just beautiful shoes, dress shoes, like very classic old style kind of like full welted shoes. And I made sandals there. And so that was kind of another step in this realm of like actually creating the sole, cutting the sole, doing all of that, putting in your nails and tacking everything down and dyeing. And so I can't say that I will be making shoes fully making shoes anytime soon. But yes, it is on my radar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, I've been dying watching your Instagram, because there's a few makers I follow who have made shoes, and I'm like so tempted. I'm like, I don't need another hobby. But especially like, because I know like you mentioned sandals, like you can buy like the Birkenstock like bases, footbeds, and like make your own Birkenstocks, and like there's all kinds of shoe kit like companies out there too. But so cool. I love the sneakers.
Yeah,
they're so fun.
I went down the rabbit hole a while back of a few like boot makers that like, and just the artistry of like boot making, and it is impressive. I went so far as buying a cobbler sewing machine and like one of the hand crank ones, and I was like, this thing's insane. Like it goes through like an inch like thick, and like I was like, I can go through anything. Like,
I can sew anything.
Like, I bought it with the intention of like using it for some of our leather stuff to like kind of just punch through some stuff. Like I ended up selling it because I didn't use it. And
again, bless you. Too many hobbies. Bless you.
Sorry. But yeah, way too many hobbies. But I was like, this thing is so cool. And like I saw some videos where people were like punching through tires and everything. I was like, this is intense. But
it's amazing what machines can do.
I was like, but it was like really crazy to see like the craftsmanship that happens with that. But I was like, you're making shoes? That's so crazy.
Yeah, no, and I am very excited because I have a friend who gifted me a hand crank post sewing machine.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited when I have some space to work with that, because that the post machine, is very unique to shoemaking.
Yeah.
And basically like you can pivot. So that needle can pivot on a
On a needle.
On a stitch, right? And so you can really get into some tight corners, and it's just, again, it's really beautiful to add in a completely new layer of artistry in that, because my machine, it's amazing, you know, it's a beast, and but it's very linear, and you can only do so much with it. But machines are really cool.
It was kind of intimidating, like that you kind of like what it was, and you're like, there's so much you can do with it. And it's like, I just messing around with like some of the leather patches I was doing with it. Now, I was like, now you got to sneeze.
I'm a tickle, sorry.
Going around.
Because I was just like, we've done some like leather patches where I've done some like stamp work on it and everything, and it was like, oh, this is really cool, and I was just trying to get the feel for the machine and like hand cranking, holding the patch, and I'm like, how do people? Oh my god, like this is a whole new skill. I'm like, I don't have the time to like actually like really get this like skill dialed in. We used to have a post bed sewing machine also, like a nice tech sew for doing hat patches and everything also, and it's like this one, I'm just gonna stick with this over here. But
I know, I remember you all put it up online, and I wanted to buy that thing so bad. If I had enough space in my studio, 100% it was coming home. I was measuring things out. I was like, could I maybe get it here? If I shift this here, and then I was like, no, okay, I'm not be making shoes like that on that level anytime soon. I can't commit yet, but I was very tempted.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where like I had it, and I'm like, we're just not using it. Like, let's let someone else in like use it, and like it's a tool that like we're wasting sitting here. Let someone else like benefit from it, kind of thing.
Someone's loving on it.
Yeah, for sure. Like the person who got it, like he was so stoked who got it and everything. I was like, okay, cool, it's going to the right person. And then we bonded because he had a Mitsubishi Montero vehicle that I love, and I'm like, yeah, it's going to the right guy. But I want to go into tools because the leather tools are a beauty in themselves and everything. And so there's so many tools, and there's so many craftsmen who like will make their own leather tools as well. But like we always like to talk about a tool that's on your workbench that like you cannot live without once you get into the craft. Has there's like been a tool that like now that you're in the craft so much that like if it goes missing you're really gonna be like shit out of luck kind of thing?
I mean, there's so many, but I have one knife that I actually had someone make me, so a custom make a knife, Ibex Ironworks, and he makes really beautiful knives of all sorts, but he does some really great ones for leather workers. And it's not a head knife. So a head knife would be basically, think of a half circle, and it's a full blade, right, from end to end. So it was kind of a play off of a head knife so that you could roll it. So it had that full angle on it, but it had more kind of angled tip on the on both ends essentially, and it was shorter, but it had a nice, like the middle point. The nice thing about like a head knife is so you can roll into a cut, and then as soon as you kind of get in the middle, there's a really sweet spot that then if you just continue pushing it straight, it's going to cut a straight line. But what I really love about this is there's really fine tips on both ends, and so I can come in and cut a really nice curve on the tail end of it. And then when I need to come into a corner, you can just roll in really beautifully with the front end of it. And so that tool, 100%, it is always within arm's reach. If it's not, I go looking for it, but it's usually never far from reach. That one's awesome.
Yeah, that one hurt if it goes missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like custom like tools, I've known quite a bit of people in the leather world that like are like, yeah, the knives, like they like having custom knives. I'm like, I don't have the money to necessarily like buy custom knives, but I've known a couple,
excuse to invest in one,
or the excuse to invest in one kind of thing. But yeah, I know a lot of people who've been in the leather game for a while that are like, yeah, they've invested in, like, that's their kind of their bread and butter is their knife sets.
Well, it's one of those, I mean, as with anything, it goes back to, again, investing in yourself, investing in the business. Like when I first bought the first tools I had, I went to Tandy, because everyone knows Tandy.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're not that expensive.
No.
But the thing is, they dull quickly, or they break, or it just doesn't quite work the way you want it to. And so then I had to pay for it a second time to get other tools. And so I've learned to wait. If I want a tool, I learn to wait for a little while, make sure that I still want it, and then I will 100% pay for it, because I'm using them all the time. I'm using these things all the time, and a really sharp knife that just doesn't go dull. I mean, it's like anything in the kitchen, right? A dull knife is where you get injured, and it makes life so much harder, especially cutting through leather. And so that's why, I mean, people do spend so much on these tools. I mean, I have a lot of money invested in like my tool rack for sure. But I love each and every one of them.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same with the sewing blades. Like I've bought the cheap rotary cutter blades thinking like, oh, it's a 10-pack for the same price as the 2-pack, like whatever. And I'm like, they dull so quickly. It's frustrating. It's so frustrating. You're trying to cut fabric and it's like, oh no, now my cut is jagged. Like it's not worth it in the end. So
same
100%.
thing with the sewing scissors kind of thing. Is like
sewing scissors, rotary blades, like any cutting tool.
It's like as soon as we like invested in the nice sewing scissors, it's like, do never use these on paper. Do never like you're like
oh.
yeah. It's like
you'll be kicked straight out of the house. Not allowed back in.
We have our sets of sewing scissors, and it's like it's okay. We made that investment. That's just what it was, kind of thing. It's like we have. I don't know. We've talked about this on the show so many times. We have all kinds of scissors. It's just one of those things. But the sewing scissors that like for fabric, those are the like we've made that investment. That's just what it is, kind of thing. It's like we know like. Do not use these for anything but fabric.
Totally.
We have 2 pairs.
Yes.
Just what it is.
Just for that.
I want to make sure we talk a little bit about like what future stuff is for you, kind of thing. Do you have plans on some new designs? Do you have plans for like some other big projects and stuff like that for what you got going on?
Yeah, so this year I'm really excited to actually step back from doing as many markets. After last year, I just felt like I was kind of more in production mode than I was in the ability to create. And I always have people come up and ask, would you be interested in making this, or have you ever designed this, or do you have a design for that? And they're all things that I want to design. I just don't have the space, or I haven't had the space to design them, because it takes me a while, as I've mentioned, to like my whole process of doing it. And so I wanted to take this year to create that space, to literally build that space in for myself so that I could come up with new designs. And so the goal this year is to do a new design a month. And so every month is a new design, and I'll have some maybe some fresh colors of some other designs as well in those drops. But I want to have some new things kind of come out of this year, and just like kind of be in that creative space to kind of foster some new ideas, and to kind of bring the next chapter of Akasha Leather basically to life.
So we're as we're recording this, we're 4 months in. We're going to be in our 5th month in. Of those 4 months,
how many new designs?
How many new
okay,
designs?
So I will caveat with I do travel a lot during the winter. And so in February I did a new clutch design. So it was a new clutch, and you can also use it as a crossbody. And then I have the sneakers as well.
Okay.
So I've done 2 so far.
Okay.
And because I was traveling in Peru with backpacking, and then was skiing in Morocco.
So you're getting inspiration.
So yeah. No, I mean 100%. Actually, traveling is a big part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And so from here on out, like I have a messenger bag is on my next to make. A smaller backpack is on there as well. I have a smaller tote bag. Then I have currently. I'd like to put sneakers back on the make list for another month later in the year. And then I have a couple others in there as well that I'm really excited about. But those are kind of some of the designs that people have been asking for that I'm really excited to design. And so they're on the list.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see them.
I'm excited.
I want to ask if there's any kind of like standout interactions you've had with some of like your customers or like market, like not vendors, but market why can't I think of the word I'm looking for? Attendees.
Okay.
I was like, why can't I think that's not the word I'm looking for, but like people who like patrons at the that like have kind of like come through your booths and kind of seen your stuff. If anybody like kind of like stands out of interactions that you've had with some of your stuff.
I mean, I can't say one in particular. I have so many amazing interactions every market. With people, I don't always have a lot of time for everyone to have a deep dive, but there's always, a number of people per event that you get to have a really good bit of connection with, whether it be about, a product that they see that maybe they also are a leather worker and we chat about that, or it's, really diving into what inspired me to make this in particular product, or to chat about this collaboration that I just did with an artist and that I did to like psych up and chat about this other artist that I've collaborated with. And it's just the opportunity to see new people, as well as what I also truly love, and it excites me to this day, is seeing product walk around. Mm-hmm. So at events, I mean, I see bags, guys will pull their wallets out, or people will come up to me and say, I love your journal. And so those are just so special in so many ways. So I can't say one in particular because I have so many.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Where can people find more about what you're doing, kind of stay up to date with where they can potentially come see some of your product when you're at a show or anything like that? Where's the best place they can find more information?
So on my website, I have a tab that just says 2026 events. So on there by the month, I have my current schedule up to date. It's always changing. So you'll have to kind of check back, but it has at least, my monthly online updates. I'm doing them on the 15th of every month is when the new design will come out. And then I have my current markets for the year on there as well. And then social media, Instagram is kind of the only social media that I do use, but I'm very active there. And that is always going to be the live up to date. I do have a monthly newsletter as well. You can sign up on my website, akashaleather.com. And that is a really great way to get information kind of dropped in. You can only get so much out there on social media. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really great way to connect with people on a little bit more of kind of the behind the scenes. So I've been really enjoying the newsletters as well. So those are kind of some of the options.
And then social media handle was the same as website, Akasha?
Yes. Yeah. So at Akasha Leather.
Perfect.
And then I'm just akashaleather@gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's where you can basically find me. Yeah. But some of the events that I have coming up, I'm really excited to be at the Utah Arts Festival again this year at the end of June. I think it's the 19th through the 22nd. That'll be my first big event. And then I have some downtown farmers markets on the schedule. I can see on my website, as well as I'll be at Fisher Art Market in August, and then the fall schedule is still kind of like sussing itself out. And I have some workshops that dates I am figuring out, but as soon as those are those are confirmed, I'll have those up there too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and having a conversation. Yeah, it was great. It flew by so quick.
I know.
But thanks again for joining us. And definitely, if you guys want to go support and check out everything, go check out those links available down below as well. But if you guys know any other artists in the Salt Lake area or greater Salt Lake area, please send them our way. We'd love to have a conversation. If you guys want to support the show, you guys can follow the links down below for our Patreon. You can support that show by supporting us there. You can also like, subscribe, and follow. Yeah, I was like, follow us on all the things. Follow us on social media at Steadfast Rebels. But we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Thanks. Bye.